Welcome to episode 10 of CrystalCast. Today we're joined by Nicola Firth, CEO and founder of Knowlege. We talk through the power of collaboration, the drive to solve a problem and the innovation that can create off the back of it, and the power of technology and how that can improve the broker's day-to-day process. These CrystalCasts must be a lucky omen. The day after recording this one, Crystal were lucky enough to win 3 SFI awards. Knowlege won the one that they were nominated in their category as well. As always, all the information provided is for the use of financial intermediaries only. So today we're joined by Nicola Firth, founder and CEO of Knowlege. Good morning, Nicola.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, thank you for asking me.
No problem at all. So for those of you that are regular listeners to CrystalCast, you'll know how we start. If we can have 3 interesting facts about you, please, Nicola.
3 interesting facts, okay. So I fell into financial services by accident, as I'm sure a lot of people did, but I was originally going to be a history teacher. So that's a little bit of a change of direction in career. Other interesting facts, I have a black belt in karate. I had a quite a serious accident on a quad bike, so I had to sort of give that up. But yeah, I used to participate first down and then teach kids classes as well. So that was a bit of an interesting fact, perhaps one that you wouldn't expect.
Very much so.
And then just a random one. I once danced to Amarillo around a hotel at 2:00 in the morning in a conga with Peter Kay, Patrick McGuinness and the cast of Phoenix Nights. There's another random that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
No, I'm sure there's a bigger story in there somewhere.
There is, but yeah, very random. That's quite an interesting fact.
Amazing. There seems to be a theme coming out of these of martial arts and music, which might tie in well for a Christmas special. Excellent. So, obviously, you're the founder and CEO of Knowlege, multi-award winning business, as we were talking about earlier. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what was the thought behind that? Where did that start from?
Well, my background is as a broker, and I actually went to look for a system like Knowlege. So of course we've got the product sourcing systems, but the industry changed. I always say sort of pre-2008 and post-2008. So it became impossible to place cases using product sourcing systems alone, because of course after the whole credit crunch, lenders set their stalls out with criteria, what they were prepared to accept and what they wouldn't. So I was spending so much time as a broker ringing round, trying to find criteria, ringing help desks, going on websites, and I thought surely somebody has a system with all of this in one place, and I couldn't find it. And that's where the idea from Knowlege came about. So we started, and lenders were very, very keen to get involved. Quite a lot of people said, no, lenders won't want to tell you what their criteria is. And actually that's not been the case at all. They've just not had that format to do it in. Yeah. That was the idea and where Knowlege came from, the fact that there was just nothing out there at that time. And all the information in the industry was being held on spreadsheets, which is extremely time consuming for lenders, for the companies that keep them up to date. And of course, spreadsheets aren't really the tool for the job. You know, you can't get management information from a spreadsheet. The minute you save it, it's out of date. Criteria changes as often as it does. So it was just a solution to a problem, really.
And 19 months is it? You said that you've been running at the minute.
Yeah, so we've 19 months we've been launched. We've won 9 industry awards in that time, which is fantastic. So clearly the idea was valid, and the industry agreed, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So over the last almost 2 years, then, what trends are you seeing currently in the mortgage market?
I think certainly in sort of across all of the lending types that we do, the self-employed sector, we get so many searches done on self-employed, and especially with things like one-year accounts and changes in accounts and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's not surprising really if you look at the number of SMEs, in the country and how that's changed. I mean, this increase. I was looking at this on statistics, increased from 3.3 million people in 2001 to 4.8 million in 2017, so that's quite a leap. Yeah. And I think the credit crunch was probably had a lot to do with that as well. People losing jobs and then setting up in the same industry self-employed. But they're such an important sector that we need to be looking after and embracing, because that figure's not going to roll back. People are not going to then get employed. And actually, they are now turning into one of the biggest employers collectively in the UK. So if you look at small businesses with less than 10 staff, they account for 33% of employment in the UK and 21% of turnover. So that's huge.
Yeah.
So we need to be looking after, I mean, there's a lot more that the government could do around that, but certainly within the mortgage industry, it's really important that these people are serviced, because they're providing, such an important role within the UK economy.
Yeah, we've been advocating for many years now education for brokers.
Yes.
Customer profiles changing, as you've touched on, demographic change and employment types changing. So a lot of this is on brokers to go out and do themselves. But it's really nice to see a system coming in where brokers can actually search for this information and use that time productively to get that done.
Absolutely, and brokers tell us that they actually enjoy, because we've got the search when they're trying to place a case, but that one other part of the system is the bank, where they can just go in and look and just see what your lender's criteria, actually what do they do. And a lot of brokers tell us that while they're sort of sat having their lunch, they find it interesting to read up, which is great, and feeds exactly into that, into broker education, and that's what it's all about. If you educate brokers, they could become better and better at what they do, and they've got that knowledge to service more clients and get more cases through.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? We don't.
Absolutely.
Neither of us directly face the consumer, so we can't control the amount of business that comes through. But by educating the broker, they're the ones that can see these solutions and fix the problems. So Knowlege Bank itself was quite a new concept really coming across. As you mentioned, things were on spreadsheets and in Excel and things like that previously. Are you seeing any trends in technology currently?
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing that certainly that we're involved in and that everybody is chasing is to put all the bits of the jigsaw together to create the ideal end-to-end system. And certainly in terms of trends, that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing networks that are working on that, and we're involved in a lot of those, because if you look at the end-to-end, so what's involved, well, you've got the fact find, which starts with the CRM system, affordability, criteria, then product, and then the application to the lender, and then back again to the CRM system. So it's all held in one place. Yeah. But as I predicted a couple of years ago when the conversations started around this, no one person will build the perfect end-to-end system. Everybody has a piece of the jigsaw, and it's almost like a menu plan, So and it's these systems linking together and feeding through to make it, really fluid and ease of use for brokers. So that's a real trend, and I think that's something that we're going to see very shortly. Within the next sort of 6 to 12 months, the first of those will launch. Okay,
so you see more collaboration between firms?
Definitely.
So following on from that point, collaboration doesn't necessarily mean joint venture projects or building something together. Are there other ways that you're working with people?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of things that we're working with other companies now, really prominent companies in the industry to do with products, to do with credit search and all that. And collaboration can just be APIs, for example. It's just about plugging the systems in together for a more fluid experience for the broker, and so that things flow. We are absolutely doing that, and you'll see quite a few things coming out in the press very shortly with announcements that we've got to make on that as well.
Okay, excellent. So do you think there are any big barriers out there in prop tech or fintech innovation?
Yeah, I think there are, and we've just mentioned collaboration, and I would say that perhaps has been a barrier, up until more recently. I think within the industry, maybe product sourcing systems thinking, well, hang on a minute, you've got product and we've got criteria on there. Why do you need a criteria system? And of course, we don't need to explain that to brokers. Brokers know exactly why, but it's getting that understanding, and we're there now. People have said, okay, yeah, actually we do need to do that. We do need to collaborate, because actually when we collaborate, it's a better experience for the broker, and therefore a better experience for their client. So I think that's that has been one of the issues that in some circumstances is still being worked through. I think the other issue that I think probably at the back end of that regards applications and with lenders is legacy issues on old systems. We know that we've got some lenders that tell us that because some lenders do use Knowlege Bank, a version of Knowlege Bank Pro, as their own internal system for criteria. But one of the issues that they say they have is they've got all these different systems, different passwords, and as technologies come in, they're built on, then added on.
Yeah.
So legacy issues are a massive problem, but for lenders as opposed to the sort of technology providers sort of looking in.
So are there any changes to the marketplace that you'd like to see happen?
I think not necessarily specific change. Oh, well, I'm saying that there are a lot of changes that, but being as we don't have all day, I think looking at, I suppose, criteria, which is our thing. We launched our Insights product this year to lenders, and we are recording all searches that are done anonymously, but we're able to say to lenders now, actually, do you know, this is what brokers in this part of the country are looking for, or nationally these are the trends and this is what they're searching for. So what we'd like to see, the whole idea behind that is that lenders can react more quickly. So if they see an upward trend in a certain kind of lending or a certain kind of profile of customer, and they see that need is there, that they can adapt more quickly and develop criteria that encompasses that, and they know that there is a defined need for it. So I think that's something that I would definitely like to see happen more quickly, because that's never been possible before. I mentioned you can't get management information from a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
This is and that's been really popular. So we only launched that at the beginning of the year, and lenders have that data now, and they're working with that, which is just fantastic, because we're bringing together the demand and need, and products will come out on the back of it that are, rather than historically lenders have developed products and criteria based either on hearsay and just put something out there and say, well, we'll see how this does, and now we can prove demand for it before they actually develop products and criteria.
Brilliant. And lenders have been open to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They've been desperate for this. I mean, of course, they've had insights data. For example, Clarity and Touchstone, they report on completions. And that's great, because what they can see is which brokers are doing what kind of business, and how popular are 2-year fixed rates, for example. But what it doesn't tell you is what could have been done, what's been missed, how many customers have walked away and not got what they were looking for. So this is the missing piece of that jigsaw. This is what customers actually wanted. And actually there's an interesting piece to be done there where lenders are actually able to compare the two and say, okay, well, this is what people were asking for, this is what they came out with. And it's the most granular level. We're even able to tell lenders why they're missing out on business. So for an example, a lender may have a USP where they say, we do 0 hours contracts, this is our big thing. And they can see the searches are there, people are looking to place cases with 0 hours contracts. What we're able to do is say to the lender, well, that's true, but actually when people are searching for 0 hours contracts, they're also searching for child benefit and ex-council properties. You'll do ex-council properties, but you don't take child benefit, and that's why you're missing out on that business. So the insights are just so valuable. And everything we do at Knowlege Bank, we always ask the question, does it work for the broker? Does it work for the lender? And does it benefit the customer? And absolutely that does, because everybody's going to win on the back of that.
Definitely. We touched on at the start of the conversation that most of our cases start with the broker ringing us and saying, I've got a problem. And then you start digging. And by the end of the conversation, there's not just one problem, there's 6 or 7 that have come out. So in that scenario, we need a 0 hours contract lender. And by the way, they've got a default, or they've got this in the background. So piecing all that together from a lender point of view is amazing.
Yeah,
we get calls regularly from lenders saying, would this product work? Or if we tweak this, would it work? How much do you think you could do on this product?
Yeah, and at best, I think it's been anecdotal. So their best ear to the ground is their team of BDMs, because they're with brokers, they're speaking to brokers every day, and they feed this information back.
Yeah.
But at best, it's anecdotal. Whereas now we have hard evidence every single day of what's being searched, what criteria categories are being searched. So, I mean, we do publish every month what our top 5 searches are, but of course the Insights goes a lot more in depth, and they can play with things and see how that would appear and how much more business they'd be able to get on the back of it.
So on the back of that, have you had any surprising searches or requests to come through?
We do get some interesting things that we're asked for. we did have we had an interesting one last week actually, where a broker was talking to us about back to back, and of course I think they were a relatively new broker to the industry, and we were sort of talking about back-to-back transactions, which is and it turned out they were talking about back-to-back houses, so that was
okay,
just but I'll tell you what the most interesting thing is we find is when brokers are searching actually, and not necessarily always what they're searching for. So we obviously we do updates on the system, and when we first started we were relatively comfortable between 2 and 4. Nobody was on the system. And now we don't have any time of day when we don't have brokers on the system, and which is quite unbelievable. I mean, I say it is, having been a broker myself, I know just how hard brokers work, and I know they work around the clock. They see clients through the day and the evening, they work at night, they are busy people. So yeah, we don't have an hour of the day now where we don't have brokers on the system. And in fact, on Christmas Day, we had 13 brokers on the system placing cases on Christmas Day. I mean,
there's only so much time you can spend talking to them.
There is, I was going to say, yeah, exactly that. So I'm not sure the times where they should have been asleep or pulling crackers or whatever. But yeah,
speech again.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just place this case while she's on. So yeah, 13 brokers on Christmas Day placing cases.
Wow. That's what it shows the benefits, doesn't it? Because you can't ring a lender on Christmas Day and say, would you do this? Having that information available.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, there could be people that didn't celebrate Christmas or were working for whatever reason. Yeah. And I think that's the whole point about having all of this online, as opposed to relying on BDMs and help desks. I mean, they're there and they serve their purpose. But having access to this information 24/7 has got to be the way forward, because of course brokers are out seeing clients at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and it's great that they're able to place cases there and then. And then tomorrow morning they're able to see a new client. They're not thinking, all right, okay, I need to start trying to place that case for the people I saw last night, and also giving answers more quickly to clients and putting their minds at rest that something is or isn't possible. So yeah, the whole world's going 24/7, isn't it? So why not mortgages?
Mortgages have always been very slow on the uptake of new technology and things like that. So yeah, we've got to catch up at some point. Surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do brokers and lenders have different views on your system?
Yes, they do. Yeah. So the broker view. So brokers have they have the full every lender on there, or I'm saying every lender. We have panels as well for the networks that we work with, They can, so they do a search, they see everybody. On the lender system, they just look at their own criteria, so they see their own criteria. They're able to put, when we have lenders that use our system internally, they're able to put a little bit more policy detail that sits behind that, the sort of stuff that they're not happy to publish, but they need their sales and underwriting team to know. I think the other thing is that lenders, so they all have their own logins, and they can do a couple of things on the system. They can publish it live, they can schedule it. So if a lender knows today new criteria is going live at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, they schedule that, and the second it goes live, it just ticks over on our system. They also have things like hold and approve functions. So the bigger tier 1 banks quite often like somebody to key it on and somebody to check it before it goes live. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very different view that they get.
Okay. And has the uptake been different from brokers and lenders? Has one been more interested in it than the other, or has it been generally positive?
No, just generally positive from both sides. It's interesting because, of course, when we first started, we had neither brokers or lenders, and actually talking to brokers wanted lenders on there, lenders wanted brokers on there, so we had to run it both equally as hard. Which we did. If you ask me now, how did we do it? I don't know. We just did. But yeah, the uptake from both has been fantastic, and for different reasons. Of course, I completely understand why they want to use the system, and that's why it was designed. But lenders have really embraced it because, of course, they've had nowhere that they could showcase their criteria before, and obviously get the insights on the back of that. So especially the specialist lenders, the building societies. They'll never come top on a product sourcing system. They never will. But they will come top on Knowlege Bank. So if they do that set of criteria that the case presents, the client presents, they'll come straight to the top because they're the lender that will accept it. I know we were sort of laughing earlier. I was saying about the difference between product sourcing and criteria search. Product sourcing being what you want, and obviously criteria search being what you can have. As my mum used to say, they are two very different things.
Yeah. So 9 awards so far this year, numerous nominations for the rest of the year. What's next for Knowlege Bank?
Next for Knowlege Bank, well, we have quite a lot of things that will be coming onto the system. Quite a lot of useful features that brokers will be able to use, so they'll be able to stay on the system and do a lot more. One of the big things that we're actually really excited about, and this goes back, we were talking about education, and that's something that's right at the heart of what we do. So one of the things that you'll see next on there is almost a how-to, a bit of almost like a glossary. So if a broker gets presented with a case and they think, actually, I've never heard of that before, they can read up on it. We've got links on there that take them. It could be government websites, it could be official sources, so they can get a really good understanding. So it's around the customer, centred around the customer, but around broker education. So that's the next thing that you're going to see go live on Knowlege Bank, which will be really useful.
Yeah, that's very exciting, especially with all of the tax changes, HMO changes and things there, that basically people are either given a 200-page document to read or go and find your own sources. Absolutely,
and it's having that information easily accessible, but in a really easy to read, easy to understand piece. So this is a paragraph that summarises. But if they want to read in depth, we'll point them to it. But it's just a quick reference tool. So everything we do is about ease for the broker. So finding the information quickly, and of course we've got the criteria from the lenders on there. But that lends itself nicely into that, the wider education piece.
Looking forward to seeing that. So finishing the way we started then, in traditional fashion, if you could make one change to the industry, what would it be and why?
So, just one.
Just one.
Oh, okay. I think the change that I would make is already happening in some respects, and because I'm passionate about criteria, because criteria is the bedrock of everything. It's what lenders set their stalls out by, whether they decide to lend or not, and it's the most sort of basic point. It's whether the client is able to achieve their financial goals or not, or whether they're able to move and what have you. So I think we're already seeing since our launch that the prominence of criteria in that decision making, and one of the things that we've been working with the FCA on is the evidence of research, because it's really, really important from a compliance perspective to evidence that research. So a broker's made a recommendation. Why did you make that recommendation? And for so many years they've been able to make notes on the fact find about conversations they've had with lenders, and they've been able to evidence their research of product selection. But they've never been able to, until now, to evidence their research of why did we select that lender. Now, a complaint comes in years later, and that's very, very difficult to defend. Why did you go with that lender and not that lender? So I think what I would like to see is that become more mainstream, that actually you have your product sourcing results and your criteria search results sat on file along with your notes, and that is the full picture. So to protect brokers from complaints, it's a robust file check. Nobody can argue, because at this day, at this time, this is what the lender said their criteria was, this is what the products were available to pick, and this is why I made that recommendation. And that, to me, is a bolt and braces file. And we are seeing compliance departments moving towards that now and using the evidence of research like we have in Knowlege Bank. So that's the sort of a small goal, really, but the implications are wide-reaching. And just to make sure that they're bolt and braces and protected from a complaints, because every broker lives in fear of complaints. So anything that we can do to sort of negate that risk is better, really.
Definitely. It's all about that best customer outcome.
Yeah,
and if
absolutely.
The customer's getting the best outcome and the broker's protected.
Yeah, and evidencing, so because there's a world difference between documenting something and evidencing something, and what holds up in the event of a complaint. So yeah, we're seeing a move towards that now, which is great, and that's what I'd really like to see, that brokers can make a recommendation, know they've done a good job for the client, know they can evidence it, and sleep at night knowing that there are no complaints coming back. That's in the ideal world.
Yeah. Amazing. And there you go, Knowlege Bank, the essential tool for brokers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. It's been really interesting. Some very useful things have come out of that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. To hear the rest of the series and be notified first of future episodes, hit subscribe. And to discuss any of the topics covered in today's CrystalCast or any other specialist finance requirements, call us on 01827 301070 or visit our website at www.crystalsf.com. Thank you to today's guests, and as always, thank you for listening.